Hello there, here we are with issue 38. I'm wearing my fleece tonight because it's chilly in the basement. So let's start with issue 38. Excuse me. So we're going to be looking at the Sentinel class landing craft, which from this view looks very much like a Lambda class until we look at that view, right? So the Lambda class would have the wings up here, and this one has them in the back. So that will be different. So there we go. And then we're going to talk about the sentient species of Endor, which may or may not be interesting, but hey, we'll talk about it. All right. And then in Secrets of Spaceflight, we're going to go over repulsor lifts. So that should be interesting because, hey, that's how all the stuff stays up off the ground, right? Some sort of repulsor lift. So we will discover and talk about that. And so let's go ahead and get into this issue. We'll start off by getting out our parts that we need. So we can see here in the magazine all the parts that we're going to have in this one. And there will be some parts from a previous issue. So let's go through this. All right, so the easy one to spot is this one. That is going to be our actual boarding ramp. Then we're going to have these parts here. That's these here. We have these tiny little pins. Look how small those things are. So those things are super tiny. We got those, and it says we're supposed to have 4 with a spare. We only got 4. We didn't get a spare. This is our hinge parts, so we're going to have that. And there's also some of the rods in here. Those don't go to the hinge, but that's where they're stored. Then we have this part here, which flips out at the bottom of the boarding ramp. And then these are going to be the pistons, and these parts here are going to go onto the boarding ramp itself. So let's go ahead and have a look, see what we're going to be doing, and go from there. I think we missed a page. No, we didn't. We start on this page. All right, so the very first thing we need to do is we're going to attach the light. So here's the light. We got this in the last issue. Let's go ahead and start off by taking this wire off because we don't need that on there anymore. And that's going to free us up for some of the stuff that we need to do. All right, and anytime I have these wires all folded over and they got the memory of that and whatnot, I like to try to straighten them out as best I can. So you're only going to be able to do so much of that initially, but at least we don't have it all folded up on us. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, we're going to look at the direction these screws are facing, and we need to feed this up through this hole. So we're going to feed this down through the hole like this, and then we're going to flip this over, and we're going to go from this side. And we've got some 3M sticky. We're going to attach it here, which, actually what I'm going to do, I think, let me grab some alcohol real fast, and we'll see if we can't clean that up. Is this alcohol? Yeah, it is. Perfect. I don't even have to travel for that job. And I just want to wipe that up just to give this thing the best opportunity to stick as it possibly can. So we are talking about manufactured metals and all that kind of stuff, plus my grubby mitts have been on it, and I don't want there to be any extra grease that's going to interfere with Mr. 3M sticking to it. So there we go. All right. And now let's see how long this takes me. You guys can put your bets in the comments below. Didn't take near as long as I was expecting. All right. So when we put this on, we need to be in front. Come on. In front of these screws, like this. That's going to be really difficult. There we go. There we go. We have that attached. We now have LEDs attached. And if that tries to come up, I don't know what we'll do, but we'll figure out a way to keep it down. There's that. All right. I'll keep an eye on that. Moving forward. Okay, so next we're going to start putting this together. So a couple things with this. You can see little bitty nubbins here and here. And so that this little foot thing is going to, so these four pieces, these are our pillars that the hydraulic rams are going to go onto. We'll use those later. But for now, what we have is we have this has to go in here, but I have to get it up underneath there. Holy cow. We may have to do some cleanup on this thing. There we go. Now this needs to fold out, so, and it's not going to be able to as it sits now. Maybe like that. And this is going to glue on there like that. And that's going to allow this to swing back and forth. So we're just test fitting it for now. I just want to make sure that if I hold this down, it stays on and it will swing. Yep. Okay. All right. So we have that. This, I've talked about not cleaning this stuff up, but I want to make sure this fits in here well, the way it should, and all that kind of stuff. So it should fit like that when it's folded up. And I want this all to be smooth, so we're going to clean that off and all that kind of fun stuff. And also on this part here, there's some stuff to note with that. So there's just a little bit of an edge here that I'm just going to clean off. There we go. That's cleaned up fairly well. And of course, these parts are going to need to be cleaned because they will get painted. So we'll make sure we get them cleaned up. but we want to make sure that we have them prepped and ready to go for their glue job here in a minute. And I may not actually glue them today, and I'll tell you why. So, alright, that looks good. Now let's turn our attention to this. So I've got this part out here. So I want to make sure this fits in here correctly. I want to turn our attention to this. So this part here, it's got, can you see that little nubbin there? I don't know why it's got that nubbin, because that nubbin does not match anything on here. So I'm not sure why that's the case. I don't know if that nubbin is actually on and without knowing exactly how this hinge works, I don't know if I want to keep this nubbin on here. So I'm thinking about trimming it off, just sanding it back smooth, but I don't know. I may have to do a little bit of research on that. But this part here needs to get painted along with these. So this part here, they call it mid-gray. It's kind of a medium, just what you might think, a medium gray. So I'm thinking maybe this color, and this is dark gray. And I want to go with something that's doesn't have too much blue in it, or I might go with this one, and this is gunship gray. So that's far different than this darker. Can you see that? This is a much darker gray. This is the dark gray that I've been using all on the interior, and so I don't want to use that because that's pretty dark. But at the same time, I don't want to go with something too light. And this is a dark ghost gray. So I'm kind of leaning towards these. And let me show you a couple pictures to make you understand why I want to go the color that I do. So there you go. You get to see those pictures. And some of those, the gray looks especially dark. And here's the gray that they're using. And I think that if I were to use a gray close to that color, which would probably be, this one's almost got a little bit too much blue in it, so it'd probably be something like this, right? Something like that. And I think this would be too dark. So I think this is probably going to be the color we're going to go with, this dark gray. Or, sorry, gunship gray. That one's a bit too light, I think. So I think I'm going to go with this. And, but I also need to paint this whole thing. So I'm not going to attach this yet until I get this all prepped and all that kind of stuff, because these parts here need to get attached. And I can already tell we're going to be pushing this issue quite a bit in the big realm of things. So these need to go on like this. I don't know if they go on this in this issue or not. I'll have to look. I don't think that they do. I think that basically they just want you to paint this, and then you put together the hinge, which, yeah, that looks about right. But because of the fact that I want to paint this first, and by painting this, I'm going to paint this whole outside the white, or the insignia white, this color here. So this whole outside is going to be this color, right? With the inside being this gray. That'll help it stand out a little bit. So I'm going to do that. But before I do that, I've got these. See if you can see. You can see one right here and there. They're where the molding came in. You can kind of see some of them. I can see them really well, but the light's not reflecting correctly. If I turn it just right, you can kind of make them out. So you can see these ones here in the middle. There's 2 right down here. So I'm going to clean these up and get those sanded down. I may actually put some putty in them because they're actually indentations. So I'm going to clean those up. I also need to mask this off so it doesn't get painted. And of course these sections here, so they don't get painted. And in order to do that, I need to find my my blue tack. I don't know where my pack of blue tack is. I've got some here, but I don't know how old it is. But I'll put some blue tack in those spots so I can paint them. And I want to do that so that way the glue will attach well there. And it even says don't glue here. So I'll need to do that. So I'll probably do that stuff off camera, maybe. Maybe I'll do the prep work off camera, and I'll paint on camera, potentially, and go from there. If you guys want to see me do the prep work, just let me know. I mean, I can fast forward through the sanding and all that kind of stuff. And this might be the last part that I sand, so maybe I will do it on camera. We'll just fast forward it. So let me go do all the washing and everything that I need to do with this. And like I said, I'll probably attach these. Oh, actually, you do attach these this time. I was just looking here. So I'm going to attach these before I do any painting because I want these to get painted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask this central section off. That's going to be the gray. I'll paint the whole thing gray, or the white, and then I'll come back and paint this gray in the middle separately. But first I have to wash it, and then I'm going to prime it. So it'll get primed first, and then we'll go from there. All right, catch you guys in a little bit. Three, 2, 1. All right, so here we are with the continuation of issue 38. And I went ahead and put the putty in here off camera because, I mean, it's just fairly straightforward, and I figured you really didn't want to see it. So I went ahead and put it in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and sand it on camera. So I've got this sanding stick, and I will be damned if I know what the grit is on this. I don't even know how to swap them out. I've got this one here, which I think might be a 600, but I don't know for sure because basically what they did was they took some sandpaper, cut a strip out of it, and then glued it on itself. So, but I don't know how to swap the sandpaper out. So if I need to swap it, I don't know how, but I can rotate it. So this will get plenty of use. And I figured I'm going to have to use that for here. So let's go ahead and get started and see how this works. All right, there it is. It's not perfect, but I feel like it's probably better than what it was. All of the low spots won't be noticeable. Um, although when I prime this, some imperfections will probably show up, which is, prone to happen, and I'm fine with that. Now, like this part here, let me see if I can, up here, and you probably can't quite tell, but apparently I didn't get the putty in there high enough, and there's a low spot right there. So that's going to show up because, you know what, I'm not putting more putty on. So we're just going to have to go with the way that is right there. So what I'm going to have to do, let me also talk about this little nipple here. I looked it up in the book, and you can see it here. You can see it on the end there. So it's there, and I also watched somebody else's video where theirs was on there as well. So that's actually supposed to be there, apparently. That's not some sort of weird defect that was on mine or anything like that. So I'm going to leave it there. I don't need to remove it. So there we go. There's this. I will get this cleaned up, and then we will get into the priming aspect. So what I need to do is I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to tape off this back part so I can prime this and prime it and paint it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the outside as well as attach. I'm not going to touch them because I got this dust all over the place. But I'm going to attach these pieces on as well so I can paint the whole thing. And the outside will be painted the color of the base color. I think I mentioned this before. Be painted this base color, and then the middle part I'll paint with this gray that I talked about yesterday or the last time. So it's going to require some serious and significant masking. But before I prime it, I'm going to use some of this and put over here, 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 and here. And so I'll prime that off camera and everything. So the next time you see it, I'll bring it back when I have it primed, and then we'll mask to paint the outside, and then we'll mask to do the inside. So we'll see you when we get back. Welcome back, everybody. So this issue got to be rather large. I decided to split it into two parts. Because of that, I'm adding this section where I'm just going to black out these panels, and hopefully you enjoy it. right, there they are. They're all masked. Let's go ahead and go paint them and see how that comes out. I may go ahead and mask this and paint this at some point real soon. We'll see. All right, we're back. We've painted these up. Let's go ahead and get these unmasked and see how it all came out. Looking pretty good. Now, one of the things I was thinking is this part here is gonna be on the outside of the ship, and this will be the edge where the edge of the ship will be. So this is gonna get painted later. So I may end up trying to not paint that part on future pieces because otherwise I might have a hard time covering up the black. So I just thought I might save myself some future effort if I just don't paint that part. See how this came out. Looks pretty good. Got a fair amount rollover, but that's okay. That's quite alright, I think. Yeah. So that looks pretty good. Hopefully I can be done with some of these irregular pieces. They're a pain to mask. They take forever. Not that you guys would know because I'm speeding these up. But yeah. Yeah, I get a little bit through there in the corner. But probably not enough to be a problem. Again, this is probably going to be another section that's going to be painted a different color. It'll be painted the same color as the exterior. So that's something to keep in mind for future that I should really pay attention to. I do like unmasking and seeing how it all comes out. So call me strange, but there's nothing quite like, masking something. Now, granted, this masking job is pretty sad. Like, I got some black there. If I have to, I can get that covered up. But the masking job is pretty sad, really. I'm not doing anything overly special with it and, all that kind of stuff. But some of the stuff that I have masked, and like the science station and the cargo hold, I felt like that came out great. So, yeah. All right. I think that will work. So, I will share a video with you guys, or a channel, and the channel's called Movie Models, I believe is what it is. And he uses silver instead of black. I've seen black used by some other people, and so that's why I went with black. But he uses silver, and he said that helps reflect it in, not just absorb the color. But I thought that would have been an interesting option as well. So, all right, well, that's the end of that little segment. Look for some more coming up.